Who will win? Gary Paffett, Paul DiResta,
René Rast.
Wird
Meister.
It's going to be a long weekend.
I think we've got similar levels of pressure.
We have nothing to lose.
Who will win?
But when you're in a championship position, it doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to finish it off.
We have the least pressure.
I'm the fastest.
Who will win?
Hello everyone and welcome to the grand finale here at the Hockenheim ring. Finally we're going to find out this weekend who's going to be the DTM champ 2018, and we know it's either going to be Paul, Gary or René. It's definitely going to be very exciting, and Gary, you're here with me at the moment. You're 2 points behind Paul, and that certainly means anything is possible, especially because you're in P2, and that means you're starting way ahead of Paul and also ahead of René. So what is your gut feeling and how are you going to do it to rock this baby?
I feel good. I mean, the car's been great today. In qualifying, the car was really strong, so starting on the front row is perfect place to start, just in front of René. You know, with René, we just have to score a similar amount of points as him. You know, he's got a lot of points to catch up. So with him, you know, we're not too concerned at the moment. With Paul starting further back, you know, today is an opportunity to take the lead in the championship and hopefully get a bit of a lead. So that's what we have to do today, is to make the most of this opportunity we have.
Right, well, best of luck, Gary. Thank you so much. And now to the commentator.
A very good afternoon to you. Danke DTM for 30 strong years. Mercedes-Benz then bow out of the DTM here at Hockenheim. What a couple of races we've got in prospect this weekend, the first of which is about to be unleashed on this 4.574 kilometre circuit. And boy, it looks good at the front. Lucas Sauer going from pole position. Gary Paffett is alongside. René Rast, though, who is chasing in the championship, has a P3 start. Marco Wittmann, one of the unluckiest men here this weekend. As you can see, his car is not on the grid at the moment. They have been working furiously on that car. He had an off in FP3, and I have to be honest, from what we saw, it didn't look like the damage was so significant, but the team, the IMG team, have been working so hard on that car, and unfortunately, as you can see, the Marco Wittmann car is not on the grid at the moment. He certainly didn't make qualifying. So to the championship then, Paul DiResta, Gary Paffett, and this man from Audi, René Rast. What can he do this weekend? Let's hear from him now.
And now I've got René Rast with me here, and I guess today you're pretty happy about the penalty of Timo Glock, because that means you're in P3 instead of P4. It helps, doesn't it? And that also means that you can directly breathe down Gary's neck. So what's your feeling for the race? I mean, you've got to pick up some points.
Yeah, for sure. We have to finish ahead of Gary and ahead of Paul. No question about that. But I think P3 is a good starting position. We saw already in Red Bull Ring, even from P9 or P8, we can win the race. Hopefully you have a good start. You know, I think start is important, pace will be important, but I'm confident that we have a good car.
All right, well, best of luck, René. Thank you so much, and back to you.
Great to hear from René Rast. Of course, he is not under the pressure. It's Paul DiResta and Gary Paffett. As we look at Loic Duval then, Loic Duval, who will be starting from P16 on the grid, in conversation there with team boss Ernst Moser. So, Loic Duval, Ernst Moser, as you can see, the team principal of Audi Sport Team Phoenix. Of course, based just down the road from Nürburgring. It's not far away from Hockenheim either, but very, very close to Nürburgring. Mike Rockenfeller then, car number 99. Of course, he was very much part of the three-way party we had right at the start of the season between Gary Paffett and Timo Glock and Mike Rockenfeller. What an opening weekend that was. And Mike Rockenfeller, regrettably, only going from P15 on the grid. One place ahead of him is this man, Pascal Wehrlein, who goes from P14 on the grid, a 1:33.124 for Pascal Wehrlein, and he goes from P14 on the grid. So the conclusion of the 2018 season here at Hockenheim, but of course all thoughts are towards the next season and what is going to happen in 2019. Let's hear from Gerhard Berger now.
And I'm very happy to have the DTM boss, Gerhard Berger, here with us. We've got amazing sunshine, the weather is perfect, atmosphere is perfect, full house, everything, and we've got fantastic news for 2019. So tell us, what is the great news?
Well, first, there's a lot of work behind, but the weather is luck. Okay, but we have a great event here. We have a full house for the day, for tomorrow. We're going to see a great final of the championship, and we have great news. Aston Martin is a real luxury brand, going to be part of our family from next year on. So I think we fill the gap Mercedes well, and it looks like we are on a good road. And also we have done already the calendar, everything is done. For next year we have the frame program done, what is great too. We're going to have on our platform the first women's series, what is great news for us too. So at the moment everything looks good, but different time going to come soon, I think.
But very well done. So blue skies for the future of DTM. Thank you very much. And now let's cross our fingers for an exciting race. Thank you so much, Gerhard Berger, and back to you.
Blue skies indeed. So Gerhard Berger illustrating what we can expect in 2019. What can we expect today? Well, we can expect Lucas Auer and Gary Paffett on the first row of the grid, followed by René Rast and a very good qualifying from Augusto Farfus going from P4 on the grid. Nico Muller and Paul DiResta are on row 3. And when it comes to row 4, that's occupied by Robin Freins and Timo Glock. Timo Glock taking a grid drop under the totting up procedure. Edo Mortara is P9 and Joel Eriksson is P10. And then to the 6th row of the grid where we find Bruno Spengler and Philipp Eng. Then it's Danny Juncker-Dea and Pascal Wehrlein, the two Mercedes-Benz, together on row 7, ahead of Mike Rockenfeller and Loic Duval with 2 Audis on that row of the grid. And then it's Jamie Green and, of course, Marco Wittmann, who didn't make it into qualifying. And we're craning our eyes from our studio position here, but we don't think the Marco Wittmann car is yet on the grid. So that is the starting order for this. The first of 2 races this weekend, which bring the 2018 season to a close. That's an incredible shot of Edo Mortara then. Eduardo, who I had great fun with last night when we were involved in an e-racing competition, and Edo wasn't very good, it has to be said, and he won't mind me saying that. He's going from P9 on the grid today. What can he do from P9 on the grid as Mercedes-Benz celebrate 30 years of participation, of course, in the DTM, and this is the final year. Timo Glock then, very, very good qualifying, a 1:32.751. Now, that would have been enough for him to be much, much further up the order than he is, but as I say, under the totting up procedure, he has taken a 5-place grid drop. So Timo Glock with work to do from P8 on the grid. Robin Freins then, good quality from Robin as well, P7. So Robin Freins then going from P7 on the grid. And ahead of him, of course, is the man that is leading the Drivers' Championship, and that is Paul DiResta. There he is. So, Paul DiResta, not as far up the order as he would like to be, going from P6 on the grid. And Paul knows exactly what he's got to do. Gary Paffett, of course, is going from P2 and René Rast from P3. This is Nico Muller, though. His qualifying time was sufficient to give him P5 on the grid, that 1:32.887 from Nico Muller, the Audi driver then. Ahead of Nico Muller, Augusto Farfus, the BMW star then, 1:32.880 is enough for Augusto Farfus to be P4 on the grid, of course benefiting from the fact that his fellow BMW driver Timo Glock taking a grid drop. So there is the man that's P3 in the Drivers' Championship, and as he said in that wonderful piece right at the start of the programme, the pressure is off him. All he's got to do is go out there and perform. He's had a fantastic final few races, and if he can continue that form into this race, well, Gary Paffett gives us the thumbs up. Of course, he's done a great job in qualifying as well. He said he felt that the pace was there in the car for pole position, but it's oh so close in qualifying when it comes to DTM. He wasn't quite able to deliver. Delivering a T-shirt now is Lucas Auer, the young Austrian driver who banks pole position with a 1:32.6. 1:32.6 from Lucas Auer, enough to give him P1 on the grid. Just lurking in the background was one Mr. Klaus Ludwig. The team standings after 18 of 20 races: AMG Motorsport Petronas on 335 points, AMG Motorsport Ramus 290, and AMG Silberfile P3 in the team standings at the moment. A wonderful heli shot of the 4.574 kilometre Hockenheim circuit, which will play out the first of 2 DTM races this weekend. at Hockenheim. 21,700 residents, been a part of the DTM since 1984. Last year's winners, Jamie Green and Marco Wittmann. Audi have 20 victories here. BMW, not as many, and Mercedes are the winners in terms of the brands and the number of wins that they have taken here at this Hockenheim circuit. Of course, as they bow out of DTM, they would like to complete their 30-year history in the DTM with victories here once again. After 18 of 20 races, it's tight at the top. Paul DiResta on 229 points, just 2 ahead of Gary Paffett on 227. But René Rast is chasing on 199 points. And he, of course, is going from P3 on the grid today with Gary Paffett, P2. Paul DiResta goes from further back down the order, P6. It's a packed crowd here to enjoy these final 2 races, and alongside me I'm delighted to welcome back, he opened the season with me and did a great job then, BMW junior driver of the DTM race taxi, Ricky Collard. If the 2 races this weekend can deliver half the drama that we had at the opening round, we're in for a cracker, aren't we?
We are in for a proper showdown, and well, these 2 guys, Paul DiResta, as we can see there, and Gary Paffett, but René Rast, he's on a charge at the moment. It's interesting to see how he can fare as he wishes his fellow rival there. Good bit of sport.
That's really nice to see, isn't it, Gary Paffett? And there's Toto Wolff and Dieter Gas. And Gerhard Berger is in there as well. René Rast has made the point. Of course, the pressure isn't on him. He's achieved, more than achieved, whatever was expected of Audi at the beginning of the season. And now he is in a more relaxed position. Psychologically, you as a successful racing driver, Ricky, when the pressure is off you, do you lose some of the impetus, or actually does it make you better because you've got nothing to lose, kind of thing?
It's really interesting. It's something that, you know, I'm sure brain doctors are working hard at trying to find out what it is, because we were watching the Formula 3 race earlier.
Yes.
And you see when Schumacher got knocked back, the pressure was off, and then he drove so well to come back through the field, and it's a little bit like what can happen in this.
I thought it's some of the best racecraft we've seen from Mick Schumacher when it was pushed back, as you say.
It was great to watch, and I think that's what René is in a little bit of a swing with as well.
Okay.
He's achieved
more than
what anyone was expecting.
Yes.
And now you can see in his whole presence, he's relaxed, he's calm, and he's ready to go into battle with the 2 Mercedes boys.
Just 2 points, of course, between Paul DiResta and Gary Paffett. Look at the crowd that's here. Ricky should have been here half an hour ago. Not only was he signing autographs for his legions of fans, but actually there were so many people here, you struggled to get up here.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely random. But what a spectacle this place is. This is such a good track, and it lies for such good race, and you can understand why the fans come here in their thousands.
We just saw Gerhard Berger on screen then, and we've got to say credit to Gerhard Berger and also Achim Kostrin, who are the managing directors, if you like, of DTM, because, you know, going forward into 2019, the announcement of Aston Martin coming in, the calendar having been launched with new tracks on there, and the support series having been settled as well, they have worked so hard and have created a product, Ricky, which, you know, you and I both know, because we're in the gun seat all the time, it delivers great entertainment. It's only going to get bigger and better, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's the support package is something that's really important, especially for all these fans. You know, you have the highlight and the main event here, which is the DTM, and like I say, with the addition now of Aston Martin coming in, it's going to be even more exciting, because it'd be interesting to see as well with a new manufacturer if they are going to be on the back foot or if they can literally hit the ground running straight away. So that's one thing that's going to be interesting. And like I say, the support package as well with Formula W being introduced as well, which is fantastic.
I'm going to become an honorary woman.
So am I. Looks fantastic, doesn't it? The championship, yes, the lineup looks great.
Yes, it does. And there is just an example of some of the crowd here to enjoy this. We know tomorrow, as we speak, is you know, very close to being utterly sold out. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of spectators here. Part of that, of course, and that's brilliant news. That is brilliant news. I said that I couldn't see the car on the grid. Marco Wittmann going to be starting from the pit lane. I did say when we saw that crash that he had in FP3, which meant that he didn't take part in qualifying, to me, Ricky, it looked like quite an innocuous knock, but clearly there was more damage to that car than we ever thought.
That's the thing. What is really difficult is if you have a crash on a race weekend, you can't really shake the car down, make sure it's okay, because, you know, every time these guys go out, it has to be 110% as they roar off the starting grids now to get ready.
Race 19 of 20, then the championship reaches its conclusion this weekend. We could find ourselves with a new DTM champion at the end of this race. Equally, it could go to tomorrow's race. Oh, I do hope so.
So do I.
The cars are on their formation lap then. One thing is for sure, the action is going to come thick, fast, and it is guaranteed. This is DTM, and there is Marco Wittmann, who will be starting from the pit lane, but he will be starting the race, and that's great to see. So well done to the RMG team for getting that car out there. Gary Paffett then, P2 in the Drivers' Championship at the moment, goes from P2 on the grid. Lucas Auer, of course, with pole position. Right behind Gary Paffett is René Rast, going from P3, Augusto Farfus P4. Then it is Nico Muller and Paul DiResta. Robin Freins and Timo Glock are on P7 and P8. Row 5, Edo Mortara, Joel Eriksson. And then for row 6, we find Bruno Spengler and Philipp Eng as the cars make their way up to the hairpin now. Row 7 is Daniel Juncadea and Pascal Wehrlein. Row 8, Mike Rockenfeller and Loic Duval. Row 9 will contain Jamie Green and Marco Wittmann. Marco Wittmann, though, of course, starting from the pit lane, as we have seen. So there is Gary Paffett then, just 2 points behind Paul DiResta in the Drivers' Championship. Former champion, of course, Gary Paffett. Here is Paul DiResta then, starting from P6 on the grid. Here are the driver standings. That's how tight it is at the top. 229 playing 227, with René Rast on 199 points. So Paul DiResta knows he has work to do, and do that work he really will. Nothing is guaranteed in DTM. It's a 55-minute race plus 1 lap with a mandatory pit stop in weather conditions, Ricky, that I would have suggested are probably perfect for racing, aren't they?
Yeah, these weather conditions look absolutely perfect out there, but it's going to be difficult for the guys to build tyre temperature into these tyres. Again, Marco Wittmann's a little bit on the back foot before he's even started because he's lost one of the formation laps that he's going to have to the grid, but he's going to be fired up. Aren't all of these guys going to be fired up as they lay rubber and slowly get into line into their boxes as we see Lucas Auer. 3, 2, 1.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. It was almost as if you were guiding him in there. Uli Fritz to the left-hand side of your picture. Toto Wolff to the right-hand side. To the very right-hand side of your picture there is Jens Marquardt, and right in the middle of the picture there is the Audi boss, Dieter Gas. René Rast then was champing at the bit. We are about ready to go racing. 55 minutes plus 1 lap. The championship conclusion weekend here for DTM. We are live from Hockenheim with the green flag from the marshal at the rear. We have 1 light, 2 light, 3. The engine note rises. So too does the excitement as the cars are unleashed. René Rast does not get a very good start at all. And as you can see, Augusto Farfus has already got past him. So René Rast relegated to P4 as Lucas Auer got a great start. Gary Paffett was good away as well. And Augusto Farfus putting himself ahead of René Rast in the number 33 Audi. Paul DiResta already charging up the order and is chasing Robin Freins right now as they, for the first time of asking, make their way around the Parabolica. All of a sudden, the hairpin is going to become a very busy place. Timo Glock, Nico Muller side by side. Marco Wittmann has joined, of course, from the pit lane. He has work to do. DiResta to the outside of Robin Freins. René Rast to the outside of Augusto Farfus. So Augusto Farfus then. René Rast is trying to stick with him here and trying to keep alongside the BMW, but just has to yield. Paul DiResta and Robin Freins are doing exactly the same. Paul DiResta could go ahead of Robin Freins going into this turn as Gary Paffett puts himself into the lead of the race by getting past Lucas Auer. First few corners, Ricky Collard, a lot going on here. Gary Paffett, Lucas Auer, Augusto Farfus, René Rast, then it is Paul DiResta as Robin Freins just takes a look at coming back at him. Well, I thought the hairpin, there could be carnage there, but all drivers racing really well through that hairpin.
Just about. I think there's a small little bit of contact as we see is that Bruno Spengler with damage on the front right.
Yes, there was some smoke coming off that car, wasn't there? Marco Wittmann and Jamie Green are fighting there, but here is our race leader, Gary Paffett, the British driver then, who is P1. Ahead of Lucas Auer. Augusto Farfus is heading René Rast down to P4, as you can see, some 2 seconds down on the race leader already. Marco Wittmann still not having been able to get past Jamie Green. There he is. Bear in mind that Marco Wittmann had to start the race from the pit lane. And on board with him we are now. or we were just for a few moments. So you kind of get the impression, Ricky, that all the drivers are realising, as they always do, it's a 55-minute race. It ain't won in the first few corners. Let's just settle it down and get our stuff together here.
I think, yeah, there'll be some cool cats out there, but at the same time, the start of the race is where you can make your biggest advantage, and you can find a lot of places, a lot of time on the opening couple of laps. As René's getting super close to the back of Farfus there, going to try and maybe get the cut back, a better launch. But here we go, as we ride on board.
Well, what we've got now is right behind René Rast is, of course, Paul DiResta, having got past Robin Freins. So it is the championship leader, Paul DiResta, who's chasing the guy that's P3 in the championship, as Marco Wittmann trying to desperately find his way past. Live championship predictions, it would be 252, 239, 211, if it stays the way it is at the moment.
That's early doors, that is,
Oh,
isn't
it is a bit early, yeah, you're absolutely right.
We can ignore that for a minute, because
that,
we've
shall
still
we?
got 52 minutes of absolute action and carnage to bring to you guys today. But as they all take the wider line and some of them getting the cut back as Gary works his way through the...
He's got a great advantage, hasn't he? Because Lucas Howe will just act as his wingman. He can back everyone up, can't he? And just let Gary escape up the road. I mean, it was 9/10 last time around. This time, I bet you it's over a second now. Sure enough, it's 1.2. This was the Paul DiResta move on Robin Freins. And this is where, off that hairpin, if you can just maintain the momentum, because this will give you, it won't give you the inside for the next turn, but it gives you the inside for the turn after, which is critically important. Now, that wasn't too difficult an overtake for Gary on Lucas Howe, if I may say.
Well, Gary's one looked a lot easier than Paul's one.
Absolutely.
Because it is, if you can get right round the outside there, then
Yes.
you do have to then hold it round the outside then for turn 7, which in a DTM car is flat. You then get the advantage of the inside then for turn 8, but you have to rely a lot on the rival that he doesn't push you out or try and squeeze you too much, because that's the last thing that one of these guys wants, is a little bit of contact and a retirement.
Rast now is really chasing Augusto Farfus. He's got the hurry-up pedal working, and he realises now that he's got to try and find his way past Augusto Farfus. Then, of course, he's going to have the very difficult Lucas Howe to get past before he can take the chase to Gary Paffett, who is now 1.2 seconds to the good. So it is Paffett leading Hour, and then it's Augusto Farfus, then it is René Rast, and, of course, right behind René Rast is Paul DiResta. Who was taking quite a bit of astro through that turn there. I mean, he really cut that turn, didn't he, to try and get as much advantage as he possibly could.
It's a really interesting corner, because you're seeing most corners, the guys all sort of drive on a train track, and it's all a similar sort of line, but that corner sort of lends itself to different lines and different styles. The rear of the car started to step away there, didn't it?
Yes. The corner I love here at Hockenheim is the Sachs turn, Ricky, because you can take inside or outside. It's a little bit banked. When you're out there driving that taxi, which way do you go?
I think the high line...
Whoa!
Oh!
René Rast bouncing across the astro and the curbs then, wasn't he?
Look at them all. It's so aggressive, these curbs on the exits. So aggressive.
Wittmann has got his way past Jamie Green. Look at this, Augusto Farfus now having to make that BMW twice as wide as it is to prevent René Rast coming past. Now René Rast is going to have a go around the parabolica as they head in towards the hairpin. Surely he's close enough.
Oh, he's going to have to come from a long way back, Dave.
I think he can do it, I really do. I think he's the king of the late breakers here. The DRS
he's having a look.
closes. He's on the inside of Augusto Farfus now. Has René Rast done enough? Paul DiResta tries to come through at the same time, but René Rast does go through on Augusto Farfus, who blocks now Paul DiResta and prevents him from coming through. So René Rast now ahead of the BMW, puts himself back into that P3 position.
You're a braver man than me. I didn't think that move was on, but what a great move, and he managed to stop it without locking up as well. So
he's like a viper, isn't he? He's just, you know, and he just creeps and creeps and creeps, and bosh, then he's in for the bite, and the bite worked, didn't it?
Definitely, but it's interesting now to see if he can reel in Lucas Howe in front of him, but guys are working really hard today, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Very early stages of the race. Still got just under 49 minutes. Now, this is the Sachs turn that I was talking about. You can really see the banking there. Paul DiResta chose to keep the car sort of in the middle of the track there, getting a little bit... Does the banking give you a little bit of an advantage? Can you carry a bit more speed, Ricky?
You can, but if you go in narrow and shallow,
yes,
you carry so much speed into there.
That's the name of a band, isn't it? Narrow and shallow.
Yeah, the problem is it's getting the thing turned to get the exit.
Okay.
Whereas if you sort of take the high line, effectively, if we're going to NASCAR terms,
yes,
you can use the bank and run off the bank and carry the speed, which then gives you a great run into turns 13 and 14 and into the final couple of corners.
Oh, Robin Freins on Paul DiResta. Don't know whether there might have been just a little touch of contact there between the two of them. So Robin Friends has not given up. He's lost that place to Paul DiResta, but he's trying to come back at him. Gary Paffett is quietly going about, trying to eke out the gap, because here comes René Rast with the DRS assist. Lucas Hour 1.6 seconds behind. Gary Paffett had no DRS to use in defence, Ricky, so therefore he became something of a sitting duck, didn't he?
I just can't believe how quickly he caught him. 1 minute he's just overtaken Farfus, then all of a sudden the next lap he's overtaken Lucas Hour as well. So this Audi's obviously working extremely well now the tyres are up to temperature.
As Gary was saying ahead of the race, as long as we stay ahead of René, it's all cool. René is the one that's got to do the catching in terms of the points, which of course he has. What he desperately needs to do is put himself ahead of the Mercedes-Benz driver to have any hope at all. And right now, that Mercedes-Benz driver, Gary Paffett, is the one that René Rast is going to be chasing. Paul DiResta, as you can see, is down there in P5, and he's actually having to focus on defending from Robin Friends now. As we get a replay of the start, René Rast didn't seem to get away. That whole start sequence is so important, Ricky, but there are a lot of boxes that the drivers have to tick, aren't there?
Yeah, you get all these different lights inside the car. You have a clutch preload light, you have a throttle, the amount of throttle that you're supposed to use. It's really, really complicated. It's not as easy as just dropping the clutch and sending it, as we see Paul DiResta start there. He nearly looks like he's going to get to the run on René. René goes nicely across the front. A good amount of respect was given there by the pair of them. But
this was Friends, wasn't it? Friends and Paul DiResta. DiResta on the inside. As in, this must be the first pit stop, I would say. Daniel Juncadella, the Spanish racer, a DTM race winner this year, comes in, and it's the first pit stop time, 7 seconds for Daniel Juncadella. He is the first driver out of the pit lane. Oh! And Paul DiResta there in that mix with Augusto Farfus and Lucas Aaron. Paul DiResta, Ricky, is the big loser. He drops behind Robin Friends and Timo Glock.
And this battle is still not over between the two of them, as Augusto just gets the front of the car in front, but Robin now wants a bit of the action as well.
So Augusto Farfus ahead of Lucas Hour. Lucas Hour now trying to come back, but in the meantime is having to defend from Robin Friends and also Timo Glock and Paul DiResta as well. This is bad news for Paul DiResta.
Robin Friends with a late move there down the inside of Lucas Hour.
And through he goes.
And Timo Glock is going to try and use this low line that we're talking about.
He's done it. Absolutely perfect execution of how that can work, and Paul DiResta goes through as well. That was never going to be too heavily defended by Lucas Hour, but he does go through.
And looks like in the background as well, as we get these great onboard shots, looks like Lucas is actually coming into the pits. Maybe there was a small bit of contact there. Maybe that has caused him to make an early pit stop.
In the meantime, the gap between Paffett and Rast remains at 1.6 seconds.
Sorry.
So here you can see they're waiting to receive the Lucas Hour car.
I'm sorry for you. Can't help you anymore. I'm sorry for you.
So Lucas Hour, I tell you what, he's in no hurry, is he? No hurry at all. And he's not in any... Well... That's a great shame to see, because after just 15 minutes of the race, Ricky, Lucas Hour is out.
Yeah, that is a bit strange. He was obviously saying something on team radio there which he didn't quite get to catch, but be interested to see why he's come in, because the car was looking quite good up until that point.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, let's resume where we were, and Augusto Farfus and Robin Friends. Now, Augusto Farfus locked up. That compromised his entry to that turn, didn't it? And that just played right into the hands of Robin Friends. And that perhaps is a classic example of when you put pressure on the car in front of you, mistakes do come, don't they?
They do come, but not very often from someone as experienced there as Augusto Farfus. But the car, it looks like it's good in... Look at the difference in lines that we're talking about there. Yeah. So... Glock is going for a shallow line, but then he comes up and then he still manages to get the exit. But if anyone's got experience and knows how to drive Hockenheim, it's definitely Timo Glock.
And that is that Sachs curve that we were talking about. But here into the hairpin. So Lucas Hour on the inside, locks up a bit. Friends and Paul DiResta are being told that they've got to swap the positions back again. Oh, and that was a bit of a nerf, wasn't it, from Robin Friends into the side of Paul DiResta. I mean, he's turning in, isn't he? But the car is just pushing on, isn't it?
It's so easy, though, because it's such a slow corner. You've got so much lock to get around the tight hairpin.
But now, car number 4, and that's Edo Mortara over the gravel and
that's
the grass.
The same place where Wittmann had his
That is the same place, but
so difficult, that corner.
oh, he just glances it, doesn't he?
Ken Block, what do you reckon?
Well, now, critically, as this battle continues, now, Robin Freins is having to ease up because he's got to give the place back to Paul DiResta. That's a race stewarding decision, so he loses out on another 2 places as well, doesn't he?
That's really unfortunate there for Robin, but penalties are penalties.
Penalties is a penalty, and he did rattle into the side of Paul DiResta's car. Let's make no mistake about that.
He wanted to have a little seat in the Mercedes by the looks of it. The move was maybe there, but he just couldn't, unfortunately, get it stopped in time, and contact was inevitable. But it's good to see that they're sorting it out on the track and not after, because as a race fan, it can be quite difficult if you see after the race the penalty being applied, but seeing it being applied in the race at the time, it's good.
What I can see from our commentary studio that we can't see on the screen at the moment is Lucas Howe walking down the pit lane to be weighed. His race is over. The guy was on pole position and he's out of the race. What a shame. So Paffett then has extended his margin to 2 seconds over René Rast now. Running in P3 is Timo Glock. Then it's Augusto Farfus. Then it is Paul DiResta, Robin Freins, Nico Muller, Bruno Spengler, Joel Eriksson and Philip Eng rounding out the points-paying positions at the moment. We know how feisty Robin Freins is. We've seen that already. And he will be itching to get these places back that he's had to relinquish as a penalty by the stewards. He had to give the position back to Paul DiResta. That will have hurt, won't it? In the live championship predictions, if it stays this way, it's going to be 252, 239, 217. Pascal Wehrlein and Marco Wittmann as Paul DiResta on the inside of Augusto Farfus, but Augusto Farfus, if he can keep the momentum now, Paul DiResta has really got to keep alongside the BMW, because through this turn, he'll have the inside, but it'll be the outside for the next turn, and he's not able to get the job done, or is he?
I've never seen anyone go right round the outside there.
No.
Oh, it was worth a try. It was definitely worth a try, because he would have then had the inside for turn 9.
So they're all locked in this battle, and as I said, Robin Freins, we know he's got the pace in the car because he's done it, but whether he can find his way past Paul DiResta once again and find his way past in a way that doesn't attract the view of the stewards.
Yeah, he had a little jink of the steering wheel there. It must be quite frustrating for him, because obviously see Glock is now massively up the road in P3, and he'd be thinking, God, that could have been me if I didn't make that small little mistake. So he's got to find his way back through, but without getting too aggressive, as we see Paul DiResta lose the rear a little bit there on that exit curve.
Because the exit of that turn was not good, was it? And that allowed Robin to get just a little bit closer. So they rattle their way over the rumble strips. From turn 1, they head towards turn number 2. We're watching Timo Glock, then Augusto Farfus, then this big battle that's going on for P5 between Paul DiResta and Robin Freins, who is close once again. So what can Freins do now? Parabolica heading up towards the hairpin once again. It was the scene recently, of course, of the contact between the two of them. They'll both have DRS open, although I'm not sure Robin Freins did, actually. Paul DiResta certainly did, as he gets a little bit closer to Augusto Farfus. And then in the background there, on the inside of Nico Muller, is Bruno Spengler. And he just sort of tries to lean on Nico Muller a bit there. Now, unfortunately, we've seen the retirement of car number 22, and that's Lucas Howe. He's with Verena.
Yeah, very unfortunate, Lucas. What exactly happened? You were slowing down. Did you have contact, or why did you have to retire?
No, not at all. It's technical. The throttle got stuck, so I couldn't brake anymore. So it was unsafe, and I had to bid.
So it's very disappointing. Obviously, the race wasn't even 15 minutes, and you already had to retire. So I guess now you're just focusing on tomorrow to enjoy the last race?
Yeah, something like that.
Thank you so much, Lucas. Very unfortunate, and back to you.
Well done, Verena, for getting hold of Lucas. And that picture-in-picture was just showing us, when we saw Paul DiResta with the exit of that turn looked all horrible, it was actually the entry that he got wrong. He went over the curbs too much. That unsettled the back of the car, and it was then he was trying to control it, Ricky. So it was entry rather than exit that caused the problems.
I can tell you from a driving point of view, that corner is a pig. It's so much, you get so much understeer. You can try and set the car up for all of the corners on the track, but no matter what happens in them final 2 corners, you always get understeer. So what the drivers do is we try and use the curb on the inside to try and get it to rotate.
Yes.
But obviously what's happened there is it's a bit too much rotation, and it's obviously ended up with a bit of a slide on. But yeah, just from a from a driving point of view, that corner is really difficult for understeer.
Here comes Paul DiResta on Augusto Farfus as they head towards the hairpin, and through he goes. So Paul DiResta now puts himself up into P4. That will change the championship prediction already. So Paul DiResta ahead of Augusto Farfus then. As we heard from Lucas Auer, as Verena caught up with him then, Lucas Auer's problems were technical with the throttle stuck, so unfortunate for Lucas Auer. He's had a torrid season, he really has, and it's such a shame. He's such a talented young driver, but hey, there we are. That's motor racing. It can be cruel at times. The race lead is with Gary Paffett. We've not seen much of him because he's 2.2 seconds up the road on René Rast, but Paul DiResta is doing the fighting and coming through, and having got past Augusto Farfus. Next in his target sights is going to be the all-yellow machine of Timo Glock, but Timo Glock is way up the road. There is Lucas Auer then. His final race, of course, will come tomorrow for 2018, and he'll hope for better luck than he has had today. What's really, really interesting, Ricky, is the fact that the only driver that has pitted is Daniel Juncadella. None of the other cars have come in yet. I wonder what the strategic thinking is behind that.
Yeah, it's difficult because you can see how busy the midfield of the pack is, and everyone's fighting for every single little bit of track position. And if you are caught in that, you can lose quite a lot of time. So it's probably better off to have a quick pit stop, get a fresh set of boots on, and regroup and go again.
Well, for whatever reason, no one has chosen to do that yet. The only one, as I say, that has pitted. Here are the three championship contenders then hard at work as we split the screen. To the left is René Rast. To the top right-hand side is Paul DiResta. And to the bottom it was Gary Paffett, who is, whilst at the bottom in that screen, is top of the table at the moment because he's leading the race. And Robin Freins now, Augusto Farfus having a ding-dong battle here as Robin Freins then tries to put himself ahead of the BMW, Audi versus BMW. We can see it from being on board with Nico Müller. Nico Müller closes in on the back of Augusto Farfus as Robin Freins gets the job done and goes through. This is a fantastic, I love this splitter cam, Ricky Collard, right at the bottom. It gives you such a sense of the speed that these DTM cars can produce.
It's great, especially when you see them getting nice and close to each other as well. It gives a great shot, and we definitely want to see more of that.
So Nico Müller now chasing Augusto Farfus. Paffett leading 2 seconds from René Rast. Does it stay at 2 seconds? Actually, René Rast has taken 3/10 out.
I have been watching that. It's sort of been staying at around sort of 2.2, 2.1.
Okay.
But that's probably the biggest chunk. So maybe René's thinking about a pit stop now.
Right.
And he's thinking, okay, I'm going to just push and get every single last little bit out of the tyres before I come in.
Stopped as a first car. He will be in front of you, so you need to overtake Juncadella.
Well, we heard then team radio for Nico Müller as they were saying that Daniel Juncadella, of course, having stopped first, he's the car that's going to be chasing.
23 laps to go, maximum push now.
That's it, 23 laps to go, maximum push now, if you would be so kind.
I'm pretty sure he's pushing all the time,
Yes,
but yeah, if you've got that go faster pedal that we're talking about, use it now, please.
Yes. Press fast now. Right, so we've had Danny Juncadella in very early on, like 5. There was Nico Müller who's come in, and Joel Eriksson as well. So we're on board with Nico Müller now. Bearing in mind, he's having to tiptoe the car now, Ricky, isn't he? Because this is on cold tyres. This is Marco Wittmann and Mike Rockenfeller. Marco Wittmann, who of course started from the pit lane, puts himself ahead of Mike Rockenfeller there. The live championship prediction on the right-hand side of your screen, 252, 241, 217. Ain't all over, is it?
It ain't all over till the fat lady sings, as they say. But yeah, it's looking more and more difficult for Rast as the Audi pit crew get ready. Is this the pit stop that we've been waiting for?
It is.
Yes, it is.
It is. In comes René Rast. Now,
that was late on the brakes.
He locked up big time. Well, those tyres are done for anyway. It doesn't matter, does it?
Well, yeah, I don't think he's going to get any more out of them as he.
Now, this needs to be a perfect stop, doesn't it? Because the crew here could really change the focus of this. The wheels were spinning before the car was even released.
Coming the next lap. It's a straight fight
between you. They're indicating that Paffett's going to come in the next lap. How do they know that? Have they got every other team's communications as well?
I think Mercedes know, or Audi are guessing that Mercedes are going to have to sort of cover what Audi are doing to stop the undercut from taking place. But
now René, of course, he's got to warm those tyres up, hasn't he?
I think this is just amazing. The onboard shot that we saw earlier of how slow they are going when they come out the pits relative to what they're like on a hot lap, it's wicked.
So, Daniel Juncadella then, and here is René Rast. You can see the concentration. He's around the parabolica now, heading up towards the hairpin. There is Daniel Juncadella, who was the first of the drivers to stop. Of course, he's behind René Rast. So, we're expecting then the team of Gary Paffett to stand by to receive the number 2 car into the pit lane. And there is Gary Paffett through the Sachs turn. So, if ever the team needed to perform well, it's now, isn't it, Ricky?
That's it, they're going to be hoping to
Oh, he got the back end of the car out there beautifully, didn't he?
Lovely bit of drift in there as he comes in. Any lock-ups? No, a bit more
Rast had a good
calm.
stop. You're going to be fighting with him on the exit.
Right.
Predicting there's going to be a fight on the exit here.
And Paffett, of course, is going to be on cold tyres. Look,
No one else in the pit lane.
he's adjusting the brake bias already, isn't he? Is that in preparation for the next tyres?
Yeah, so he's getting ready, because what you'll find is when he puts these cold tyres on, it's really susceptible to this front lock-in that we've seen.
Yes.
So he's just gone about maybe 1 or 2 turns to the rear, which he will then go back forwards, and it's a 7.
Watch the white line. Watch the white line.
7 seconds.
Where is Rast? We can see him into the picture now. And Gary's going to be on cold tyres, isn't he? René's tyres have now got a lap's worth of temperature.
I think he's going to do it.
Gary's going to have to make this Mercedes-Benz as wide as possible to deny René Rast from coming through. So, as they head towards the parabolica, here comes René Rast on Gary Paffett. He's weaving from side to side, trying to urge the heat into those tyres to give him the grip that he so desperately needs. René Rast is getting closer, but not close enough, I don't think, Ricky. But then under braking, look how much speed he can carry. So into the hairpin they go. Is René biding his time as to when he's going to try and make this move on Gary Paffett? Because every single metre that Gary travels, there's more temperature getting into those tyres.
He cannot wait too long. He can't bide his time for too long, because he knows these tyres are already just starting to come in now, so he has to attack now. It has to be this lap or next lap.
Right. So René Rast then is looking at the back end of the Gary Paffett car, waiting for his opportunity to try and pounce. Left foot braking. Great onboard shot of René Rast. Hard at work inside the Audi then. The fillings in his teeth rattling as he goes across the curbs. In now comes Paul DiResta. This equally needs to be a fantastic stop from the Ramos team for Paul DiResta. Gary Paffett has done a brilliant job here, Ricky, in terms of driving that car on tyres that are sub-optimum because they're not up to temperature. René really should have got past him in that last lap, in my opinion.
It's really easy to do this front lockup, and we saw nothing. He was calm, cool, and collected when it really matters, and that's why this man is a champion. But again, he's got a champion fighting that's coming up behind him, and he's won 4 out of the last 4 races, and he wants to make it 5 for sure. But now with some DRS assistance.
All right.
Poor old Gary always gets beaten, or not beaten up, but always in the fight when he comes to Hockenheim, isn't he?
Yeah, but he knows what to expect, doesn't he? Yes. Gary just tries to make the car as wide as possible, but they're respectful drivers, of course, and René Rast, without too much drama, to be fair, goes ahead of Gary Paffett, but now runs wide. And Gary says, "Oh, very much. I am coming back through."
That's horrible, isn't it?
That was a mistake, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was, but there was no lockup again, but he's now going to try and go right the way around the outside, which is going to give him the inside now for the next turn.
Again, racing respect between the two of them. Gary gave him racing room, and now he comes back at René. Remember Hockenheim right at the beginning of the season, a little trap between the two of them. This is almost like a carbon copy of Timo Glock and Gary Paffett in the opening round. So Paffett is behind René Rast now. There was a little touch between the two of them. Now, both sets of tyres will be up to temperature now, so it's the real race pace, isn't it?
This is really when it counts, but you can hear the grandstands, everyone screaming and shouting for this battle because no one knows which way it's going to go.
There you can see the inside the garages as everyone looks on at the moment. Now, this was in replay. That was a bold move by René, but here, can you see? Gary gives him room, doesn't he? He could have crowded him out there.
And again, even when they tried to do the cutback, as Gary now tries to get underneath him, small bit of oversteer, now tries to go around the outside, but then tries to cut back to the inside.
That was when the touch came, wasn't it?
That's when the touch came, yeah.
Absolutely brilliant racing between these two then, and look at the emotions. So now these are live pictures as René Rast tries. What he'll desperately try and do now is, of course, break that DRS window, won't he?
9 tenths on that lap. He's not quite got it, but if Gary's not careful, it could be a second come the next lap, and then he'll be out of DRS range. And we can see how quick that Audi is, but we take our eye off the action for 2 minutes, and they're side by side again.
Absolutely, that was into the hairpin where Gary really closed on René Rast, then around the parabolica, heading towards the hairpin, and almost got that position back. So now he just takes a look at the inside, thinks better of it, and tucks in behind the Audi, but he is under pressure. So too is Timo Glock, as he's got Paul DiResta for company now. So Paul DiResta will be on the outside of this turn, but if he stays there, he'll have the inside for the next one. Nico Müller is the one that could take big advantage here as he tries to get to the inside of Timo Glock as well, but isn't able to do so. But Paul DiResta runs just a little bit wide. Timo Glock is back on it again. So side by side, DiResta, Glock, and Nico Müller is just sitting there saying, come on, I want to buy into this as well.
Can he go right the way around the outside? I've never seen that before. What great racing room and respect by the pair of them. They're still side by side.
This is brilliant stuff. Look at it around the Sachs turn. They touch. DiResta gets ahead.
No way. No way. How many times did the place change then?
Absolutely fantastic.
This is epic racing from DTM. This is why this championship will never, ever die.
Fantastic racing. And now, here is René Rast then with Gary Paffett. So ahead of...
Is that Edo?
Yes, I think it is Edo Mortara.
Now, René is going to be able to get the DRS, which you can see now, and a slipstream.
Yes.
That's actually working to René's advantage.
So yeah. Oh, look at Gary, though, under closing there. Edo keeps well out of his way. Gary gets to almost to the inside of René Rast, just wasn't able to carry quite enough speed.
He's struggling a little bit in that hairpin, isn't it? Every time we see him miss the apex there, whereas the Mercedes just looks like it has that bit more sort of grip at on the low speeds.
Presumably, as Paul DiResta goes through on Timo Glock at last, or does he? Because here comes Glock coming back again.
You just cannot call it, Dave. You cannot call this.
Presumably, Ricky, when you, as a driver, and the teams, oh no, we can't go away from this because Glock has not given up here. Tell you what, Paul DiResta is really having to think about this. He slides the car through that turn. Timo Glock trying to come back at Paul DiResta. Bear in mind that these cars have yet to stop for their mandatory stop. But for the moment, I think Paul DiResta might be able to breathe a sigh of relief because we're on board with Nico Müller, who's following the Timo Glock car now. But now Paul DiResta cannot breathe a sigh of relief because Timo Glock ain't giving up on it.
And it's interesting, he keeps using that low line. And if Paul's not careful, we're going to see Timo do the same sort of move what he did earlier in the race, where he just throws it down the inside there and uses that camber to get himself in. And once you're side by side, it's a dogfight then to the exit. So we see a yellow flag.
Turn 14, 15 and 16. Bruno Spengler, that's why, off on the gravel. That's it. Bring some of that gravel onto the track. That's going to help.
Make it more interesting anyway. Can we get any more interesting?
What I was going to say, Ricky, before we were seeing that battle with Paul DiResta and Timo Glock is, when you as a driver and a team, you're setting the car up for a specific circuit. It's always a compromise, isn't it? But you can't set the car up for one turn, can you? You've got to make a medium sort of compromise effort across all the turns that you're going to experience for every track. So, it might be brilliant in one turn and then not quite so good in another turn. And is that what we're seeing, do you think, with the René Rast car?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit what we're seeing. We're seeing that the René Rast car looks quite good in the high-speed sections, whereas look at that, the rear of the car there of Gary's always coming out. It looks quite an oversteery car, which is allowing him to get it rotated maybe at low speed, and then because it's rotated, get the power on nice and early. And the Mercedes, for me, out there at the moment, looks like it's probably got some of the best traction compared to its rivals. But then the Audi looks good at the high speed corners.
And you as racing drivers, some drivers prefer a bit of push on the front end, so a bit of understeer. Other drivers, I suspect like yourself, prefer a looser rear end, so you have to drive a bit of oversteer.
I think everyone can guess what Gary Paffett's preference is.
I think you're right.
I'd be surprised there's any rear tyres left on there. Ken Block, watch out, watch the space. Gary Paffett's going after you.
So, the leader of the race nominally is Robin Freins, but that's only because Robin Freins hasn't stopped yet. So those that haven't stopped are Freins, Eng, Wittmann, Rockenfeller, Rast. Of course, Rast has stopped. So Rast is, whilst he's running in P5, is effectively the race leader, of course. And P2 is Gary Paffett. Here comes Marco Wittmann on Philipp Eng. So Marco Wittmann, bear in mind, he had to start from the pit lane. He puts himself ahead of fellow BMW driver Philipp Eng, but Philipp Eng is coming back at him here. No team orders with regards to BMW as Gary Paffett just at the back of the shot there. We could see got right on the back bumper of René Rast. And let's go on board with that's a huge amount of brake bias he's adjusting there as Gary Paffett pursues this René Rast Audi, Ricky.
Yeah, that was quite a big adjustment there. You normally sort of go maybe half or one turn at max. That was 1.5 turns, so maybe he's not quite happy with the way the car's performing, but he did go forward on the brake bias, so that would entail that the car's giving him more grip.
Susie Wolff looks on there from the Mercedes garage, and Robin Freins leading the race, but the real... Oh, it's Paul DiResta now in battle here with Loic Duval. So Loic Duval in the Audi, and in actual fact... Paul DiResta then fighting with this Audi of Loic Duval. According to the timing screen, Duval was actually behind DiResta and has got past him. So here we can see how Loic did it.
Oh, late lunge. Nice move.
Up the inside.
No
good execution, wasn't it?
That was textbook, that was. Good man.
Splitter cam. Nico Muller's car following Paul DiResta as a number of cars come into the pit lane now, including Philipp Eng and Pascal Wehrlein. Eng is released.
Copy, man. Just don't give up. We're fitting you a new set of tires and you need to be pushing on your front axle on the out lap. And remember your brake cooling. Still keep pushing. Don't give up.
Don't give up for Pascal Wehrlein. 7.2 seconds for that stop for Pascal Wehrlein then. So Pascal Wehrlein on his way out of the pit lane now. In the meantime, back to the lead battle. Well, it's the battle for P4 and P5, but bear in mind it's the lead in reality, and that's between René Rast and Gary Paffett. Robin Freins, Marco Wittmann and Mike Rockenfeller are the three drivers that are yet to stop. We've got 21.5 minutes of the race plus 1 lap remaining. This is DTM live from Hockenheim. And this battle between René Rast, who's P3 in the Drivers' Championship, Gary Paffett, who is P2 in the Drivers' Championship, and Paul DiResta, who is further down the order. René Rast now, and we did see an awful lot of brake bias change for Gary Paffett as we saw him. We were on board as he made those changes to the car, just presumably to get the setup more to his liking. Because presumably, Ricky, and you, as there was a huge lock-up going into the pit lane, I think from Marco Wittmann or Mike Rockenfeller, those are the two drivers that have gone into the pit lane. Presumably, you do make adjustments and adaptations to the brake bias during the course of the race because, of course, the fuel load comes down, tyre degradation becomes greater, and therefore, where the brakes are operating, you can alter that.
Come on, we push.
Yeah, that's correct. So what you'd do is when the tyres are sort of, when they come out on these new tyres like we saw Gary doing, you'd go to the rear, and then as the tyres start to heat up and you get more grip, you then start to go forwards.
So you put more percentage to the front when the tyres are grippier.
But then the next thing you have is when the tyres then start to degrade and come down.
Oh, this is Gary Paffett.
Outside.
Oh, look at this. Now, René Rast there, it was a classic. I'm going to make sure that I occupy the middle of this track, Gary, to prevent you coming through. And he did that. So here now, Paffett will take a look at the inside of Gary. Oh, and there's a touch. There is a touch. So Gary tried to brake. There was a little touch on René Rast, who stays ahead of Gary Paffett. It must be frustrating for the Mercedes-Benz driver, but well, look at the margin between the two of them over the last 3 laps. It's been closer. It's been as close as that for more than 3 laps, I can assure you. So we're on board with Gary Paffett now as he continues to pursue this René Rast Audi that has put himself ahead of the Mercedes-Benz car of Gary Paffett. Of course, earlier in the race, we lost Lucas Auer, who was the pole sitter. And here we can see, once again, the replay of Gary Paffett as he tries to brake, just makes contact with the back end of the René Rast car. 5 tenths is all there is between the two of them. It is oh so very close. Under 20 minutes remaining. So Rast and Paffett then. P3 and P2 in the championship. Rast is P3, Paffett is P2 in the Drivers' Championship. But both of them with fairly significant Oh, and here comes Gary now, up towards the hairpin to the outside of René Rast. René deliberately makes the car as wide as possible, but tries to give and be respectful and give racing room. The two of them touch once again, and they head off down towards the next turn. Gary needs to really try and keep this alongside René Rast. René runs him out a bit, but Gary's got the inside line. Well, that was hard, that was physical.
And it's not over yet.
And it ain't over yet. Look at the crowd, they are loving this. So, Paffett puts himself ahead of René Rast, and that has taken lap after lap after lap to try and achieve that, Ricky.
He's been working out, he's just sort of been sitting a little bit patiently, working out whereabouts he's going to do the move, and then as soon as he saw the gap and the chance, he went for it, and this fight is definitely far from over as they make their way into the final couple of corners, but here, to go to the outside, holds it right the way around the outside.
That's hard, isn't it?
The two of them lean on each other as they drift on the exit, but good racing room was left, and this was where the move was finished. But so easy to lock a front, especially that's why he's adjusting that brake bias so much. But great move and great racing.
Fantastic to see. So Paffett now, what he needs to try and do is get himself out of, or to build a gap between himself and René Rast that is bigger than 1 second, because once that happens, Rast ain't got no DRS available to him. What DRS laps is, Paffett and Rast are about on the same number of DRS laps left as well. Because here comes René Rast with a DRS assist, you see? What? Oh! My goodness me! From the outside to the inside!
He sold him a dummy there, but again, he can't get it stopped!
He couldn't rotate, could he, through that turn?
They're too lean on each other, but he's now going to have the outside. This is going to be a cardboard cutout of what we just had the lap before.
Well, René Rast is on the inside now as he puts himself ahead of Paffett. Again, he makes it as wide as possible. The fight between these two has been, as you said, Ricky Collard, absolutely epic, and it is far from over. So Rast goes back ahead of Paffett, but of course now Paffett will have DRS on René.
Absolutely, and I
take 478, I think.
Here we go. There's no way that the gap will be more than 1 second when they cross the start-finish line.
Absolutely.
Here.
So we're on board with Gary Paffett then.
5 each as well. Oh, there's the rear of the car just stepping out. But
that was... Oh, there was contact.
There must have...
There was contact. Now, we saw one of the... Now, the amount of aeroflicks that are on these cars are reduced now, aren't they? What's missing?
It looks like you just see the tiny little bit on the front left aeroflick there, but... God, that must have been close. And that could have been so big. And look at the Audi Sport team.
Well, I have to say, fair play to both drivers. They have delivered some incredible side-by-side, lap after lap action for us. And here comes Paffett now. So, heading up towards René Rast. Paffett has DRS available to him. René Rast tries to make the car wide. Look at this. Which way are you going to go, René? Oh, Paffett locks up to avoid the contact on René. And that was an opportunity, really, really compromised by... He's almost unscrewed that.
All the time. I've never known anyone to be so busy in the cockpit with adjusting the brake bias. He has another little look, but thinks better of it.
Now, that effort by Gary Paffett was really ruined by René just putting that car right in the middle of the turn, wasn't it?
He's definitely...
He could see what was coming, and he was trying to defend against it, which, of course, is his right to do that, Ricky.
Oh, what's happened here?
Augusto has lost his door.
That's one way of cooling yourself down.
Now that, where that is situated, Ricky,
that needs to be moved.
So how did that happen then? It's just come off, hasn't it? Well, there wasn't contact, was there? DRS has been disabled.
That really needs to be moved because it's going to be...
It's got to be. It's right on the line, isn't it?
And that's where we're seeing all the overtaking, and we want to see more of that overtaking for sure.
So safety car has been deployed. I wondered if we'd go to full course yellow, but no, the safety car has been deployed. Oh my goodness me. It's like a textbook is being written here. Not a textbook, it's like a book is being written here. How many more chapters of drama can we throw into this DTM story for 2018?
I'd say thank you so much, DTM. Will they be able to fit a new door?
Never.
And get...
Never.
They're so easy.
Oh, really?
Davey, here we go. So he's pulled into the box.
Gaffer tape at the ready.
A lot of gaffer tape to fill that gap. Because to be fair, you can normally they take the doors off all the time when you come into the box. So it's just whether or not it's caught and jammed, which it looks like it might be there.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's an easy fix, does it?
Well, I don't think...
well, there is. That'd be a nice souvenir for somebody. Look at this. We're standing by as a spare one. But this, of course, is a huge setback for Augusto Farfus, isn't it? But, of course, we are with the safety car at the moment. So if they can get it out again... So we didn't... You know, the door actually sort of fell off heading a parabolica, wasn't it? Up towards the hairpin. Well done to one of the marshalling team that's got rid of the door. The new door is carefully being put on, as you can see, as the Augusto Farfus car is being repaired. On the pit wall is Toto Wolff. Then probably in communication with Gary Paffett, the RMG team continue to work on the Augusto Farfus car. The race is being led behind the safety car by René Rast after I don't know how many laps of side-by-side action with himself and Gary Paffett. And right, they've got to get him out here now, haven't they, so that he can catch up the crocodile of the safety car.
That's what we're just seeing now.
If he goes a lap behind, he'll be in trouble here. We're talking about Augusto Farfus now. Where is the safety car? Safety car is now leading them into the last but one turn.
I think this is going to be a little bit too late. It looked like they went to release him, and then all of a sudden they realised that, that singed a few eyebrows.
Fair combustion there, wasn't there?
No, I don't think they're going to. He's going to become a lap down now. That's a shame.
That is a shame. If he'd been able to get out just ahead of the safety car, he'd have been able to catch up, wouldn't he, and get onto the back of the crocodile behind the safety car, but that has not happened. So, what have we got? 11 minutes and 40 seconds. Also coming in is Bruno Spengler. So, now, Spengler had been in, but presumably you just think underneath and behind the safety car, is it worth throwing of the dice and coming in again?
That's quite a good idea, actually, because you see he's having a difficult day in the office at the moment down in P17. He's probably thought, well, I'm going to be behind the safety car.
Why not?
Throw some new tyres on it and take the advantage, because they're not under any pressure behind the safety car. He can warm the tyres up as he wishes.
But the safety car is coming in this lap. So the safety car leads them around turn 6 now, the hairpin turn. And as you can see, the DRS indicators on the left-hand side of your screen, along with the graphics, Rast has got 5 laps of DRS usage available to him. Well, he hasn't, because in truth, he's got no one ahead of him, so he can't use it. Gary Paffett has only got 4 laps left, as we see a retirement for Augusto Farfus. That is a great shame. It's been a real season of highs and lows for Augusto Farfus. He's such a great guy. And today's race has not gone the way he would have liked it to. He qualified really well, but finds himself out of the race, another race retirement. So he joins Lucas out, sadly, in terms of retiring from the race. So safety car is going to come in this lap. It's the responsibility now of René Rast. He controls the pace of the rolling lap once the safety car has disappeared up the road, doesn't he? What Gary will try and do is anticipate when René is going to go for it. Oh, no, of course not. Indianapolis restart, side by side. This is chapter number 14 of the drama.
Well, one person that's going to be... I just see this yellow beast and I see this blue Mercedes in front, and I'm thinking, OK, what happened when we were here last time, Dave?
Of course. Well, the big beneficiary here, please bear in mind, on row 3 of this restart is going to be Paul DiResta. That is one to keep your eyes on. So René Rast and Gary Paffett have to remain side by side then as they run through the final turn.
How close they are.
And the drama continues as we're about to restart the race. The Indianapolis-style restart for DTM then, as the cars go now. René Rast, Gary Paffett, then it is Timo Glock and Danny Juncadella, and Timo Glock puts himself ahead of Danny Juncadella. Paul DiResta runs out wide, but he's able to get back out onto the tarmac once again, but has possibly lost out on a place there. So, I'm just wondering whether Rast went marginally quicker than or too quickly before he should have done.
Well, there was definitely either really, really good reaction times as the dust flies up. Well, someone's run a bit wide.
There is Paul DiResta. And we're on board with Nico Muller, of course, who is chasing that Paul DiResta car. So, Rast, Paffett, Timo Glock, then it is, who is that? That's Marco Wittmann, isn't it?
I think he must have been maybe the culprit that went a little bit wide.
So Loic Duval there, ahead of Danny Cadea. There is Paul DiResta being pursued now by Nico Muller. So there is Paul DiResta. We're on board the splitter cam here with Nico Muller. It cannot get any closer without touching. So Rast then. There's absolutely nothing on the timing screen to indicate that the race stewards are looking at that Indy restart, as Marco Wittmann has to retire the car.
That's good. He's pulled it over in a safe place where hopefully we won't need a safety car to...
I was just looking at the air intakes on the front of that car. There was so much grass there. That must be what that dust came from. Which you spotted the dust on the parabolica. In fact, we couldn't see any cars through it, could we? It was obviously Marco Wittmann. Now we can see now why. So Rast then, he's done a great job because he's 1.5 seconds ahead now of Gary Paffett. So Wittmann is out of the car. And as they all make their way through this turn, this in replay, let's see what happened to Marco Wittmann. Well, I think, to be fair, Paul DiResta was out there on the dust as well, and so too was Marco. I shouldn't think Marco could see anything. Leo, let's go on board with Marco Wittmann. DiResta gets out of shape, is out on the grass, and then Marco Wittmann, goodness me, the cockpit, the car is full of dust.
He's going to have a dusty face, he's going to need a shower now. God.
But where that car is situated there, that's the end of Marco Wittmann's race. Of course, he had to start from the pit lane right at the start of the race. Couldn't take part in qualifying. Oh, and a mistake was that from Gary Paffett has allowed Timo Glock to get right onto him. So all of a sudden, we said earlier on with some of the battles between Gary Paffett and René Rast, it was reminiscent of Timo Glock and Gary Paffett at the start of the season, and all of a sudden, Timo Glock has got Gary Paffett within his target sights now.
And look at the low line, he's going to be alongside him now, but can he get the exit? Not quite.
Paffett is going to be under pressure now from Glock. Again. Yeah. Wow.
What a show that we are all being put onto today. We are so lucky to have such close and great racing here in the DTM, and it can go either way.
DRS is enabled now. Rasta's, where is he? Well, Rast is a long way ahead of Gary Paffett, isn't he? And Timo Glock is well within DRS. What DRS has Timo got left? 3 laps worth of DRS usage. Robin Freins and Paul DiResta. Well, DiResta is ahead of Robin Freins, or was. They're side by side now. Parabolica, Paul DiResta, Robin Freins. There's history between those two previous in this race as Timo Glock goes through on Gary Paffett. So Gary Paffett now drops down to P3, but of course this will mean that DRS becomes available to Gary Paffett, who's got 2 laps more worth. But actually, we're beginning to lose out in terms of the laps that the DRS can be used anyway, as Timo Glock almost slides the car through that turn. Here's how he did it. With a DRS assist, he gets the job done even before the hairpin, Ricky.
Yeah, but it's still so easy to lock up or run a little bit wide and make yourself vulnerable there for the cutback. But yeah, nothing really that Gary could do. But
there's a lot of adjustment going on there,
There's a lot of adjustment. He's obviously not quite happy with the car. He might be adjusting it every lap.
Right.
Just for the hairpin, because I know that's what some drivers can do. But
really,
it makes it, well, Schumacher was one of the famous people for adjusting the brake bias all the time on a qualifying lap. But to do it for 55 minutes is pretty intense. So fair play to Gary. He's trying everything he can to keep his championship hopes alive and score some good points today.
Well, the car does not look at ease, does it?
Not quite, but be interested now to see, does Gary want to join in on the fight that he had so reminiscent of at the start of the year with Timo, or is he going to sit back and think a little bit about the championship now? But the 2 Audi boys are getting close in the background as well, aren't they, Dave?
Yes, they are. So Loic Duval and Robin Freins then, they're very close in the live championship predictions. 242, 237, 224 if it stays this way. Here comes Gary then, just taking a look at Timo Glock. Of course, this is really playing into the hands of René Rast, isn't it? who's able just to disappear up the road, and he's not troubled.
And the two Audi guys behind will know as well that if they want to help their teammate out, they've got to try and get past Gary as quickly as they can to, you know, push Gary down a little bit on the championship and help René to give us what will be an epic showdown for tomorrow's finale.
Wouldn't it just? So there is Paffett then, and Gary making lots and lots of adjustments to that brake bias. Whether he's completely happy with the handling of the car, I would suggest not. There is Paul DiResta. Philipp Eng is the first driver to run out of DRS completely. Gary Paffett's going to be vulnerable here to Robin Freins, you know. What have we got? 3 minutes plus a lap remaining in this race. Timo Glock is up the road now in P2. And Robin Freins is closing on the Gary Paffett Mercedes-Benz.
I think Gary's going to be a little bit vulnerable here come the parabolica and into the hairpin.
I think you're right. So 2.6 seconds René Rast has over Timo Glock. For some reason our timing screen has packed up completely because it's telling us that the gaps are incorrect between the drivers. We can see they're more than that.
Here we go. This is an important for Gary to try and hold this position, because every position that he loses, it's vital points that we're seeing in the live championship that's going towards René.
So Robin Freins closer. Gary puts the car to the middle of the track to try and deny. Robin locks up a little bit. Gary almost touches the back of Timo Glock. Robin Freins gets better momentum out of the hairpin and puts himself ahead of Gary Paffett. So this is extraordinary. Absolutely incredible racing going on.
These Audis look like they just come alive at the end of the race. They are obviously really good on their tyres, because they look like they struggle a little bit at the start. But once these tyres are up to temperature, this Audi is something else at the moment. All of them.
Absolutely extraordinary. So, this is Robin Freins now on Timo Glock towards the end of this race. Oh, and here it is in replay. That was the lockup from... that was the lockup.
Was there a slight little kiss there, do you reckon?
I'm not going to say. Really, I'm not. So, Rast, Glock. Then it's Robin Freins, and we're on board with Timo Glock now, looking back at Robin Freins. And here comes Robin Freins on Timo Glock.
Oh, that was close. That was really close. I thought there was a bit of contact there, but...
yes, kiss, once again, I think is what you would say.
Jesus. This is epic, and I think that Timo will definitely remember that coming around to the next lap, because he's still got a couple of uses of DRS. As long as he stays within a second, as we now see DiResta's falling back as well.
Yeah, Nico Muller.
These Audis are really coming strong towards the end of the race.
They are. Now, is it because the tyre deg has been less? Oh, and Mike Rockenfeller on the inside of Paul DiResta now. He goes through.
And in the background, there was even more action as there's contact there.
Oh my goodness, in the closing stages of this race, there is, whichever way you look, there is something going on.
And Spengler as well, it's quite interesting to see. He's up to P9 now, considering he did the pit stop and went down to stone dead last. And obviously them new tyres are really helping, and he's carving his way through the field.
Last lap of the race. So here in replay then, Nico Muller and then Mike Rockenfeller. Look at this, just getting underneath that Paul DiResta car, and that was enough, wasn't it? Well, the championship prediction will be different again now.
Even more so when René Rast will be absolutely loving it. Let's look at the guys, look at the passion that's involved in motorsport.
Absolutely.
It's great.
And it's felt, isn't it, you know, through every engineer, through all the team. And of course, there is René Rast. And tell you what, Robin Freins is closing on this final lap. So the order is Rast, Freins, Glock, Gary Paffett not on the podium. Paul DiResta only just in the points, Ricky, in P8. And, well, I can't wait to see. I haven't worked it out yet because we've been too busy looking at the shots on camera. I can't tell you the championship prediction. I'm waiting to see it on the screen. I can't work it out quickly enough because Rast is going to bank maximum points, isn't he?
5 out of 5 if it stays like this for the last couple of corners.
Extraordinary performance from the current DTM champion, René Rast then. Around the Sachs turn, final lap, being pushed all the way by Robin Freins. This will be Robin Freins' second DTM podium. So he has one more turn to do. And for Audi, René Rast is going to win at Hockenheim. 3/10 ahead of Robin Freins.
Cruise the car, cruise the brakes, slow it, lay down. Yeah!
Timo Glock, P3.
And they're fucking idiots. It's so dangerous. So dangerous. They brought a safety car out for a little bit of debris, but not a safety car when there's fucking shit all over the track.
Well,
it was so dangerous. So dangerous.
Apologies for Gary's very colourful language. Clearly he is very, very cross. Rast wins from Robin Freins, Timo Glock, P3.
And I guess the other guys had fresher tyres because I just couldn't wake the tyres up after the restart, especially with all the dirt on the track.
And there is Arno Zenzen. And there is a delighted René Rast.
Well done, mate. Well done.
Well, you can understand, and once again, apologies for Gary being so cross, but you can understand that because, you know, his race really was compromised, Ricky. We could see, and that's really interesting, the point that he was making how he couldn't wake those tyres up after the stop. Presumably that's why he was adjusting that brake bias all the time. He's trying to find the right optimum setting to get the tyres to deliver the grip that he needed.
Absolutely, but it's so easy just to get a little bit confused and get a little bit mixed up and a little bit muddled up, and then all of a sudden you're going, oh, did I go forward or did I go backwards? And it's, as a driver, it's really difficult then to keep your cool and understand 110% whereabouts you are on your brake bias, as René just helps out with the track clearance there.
Well, I'll tell you what, that man, what a remarkable end of the season he has had, Ricky.
This is just a man that is on a mission at the moment, and as we can quite clearly hear on the radio, he's over the moon, and too rightly so. The other two Mercedes boys are going to have to be a little bit careful going into tomorrow's battle.
Right, look at this now. 239 points for Gary Paffett, who's now leading the Drivers' Championship. 233 for Paul DiResta. 224 for René Rast.
It's still a mission, but we've said it time and time and time again. He just goes out and delivers somehow. I don't know how he manages to win. Because it's
he does it because he's brilliant, isn't he?
Exactly, and there's action going on throughout the whole of the grid, and he just manages to stay out of the way, but also get involved and make the right decisions at the right time, and to do that race in and race out, which he has been doing at the moment. It shows someone that's really deserving of another championship.
Extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. So there he is, René Rast. And there is Paul DiResta, P8. Still, Rast, DiResta, Paffett. Very much, you know, in this championship chase, but it's so, well, we can hear how frustrated Gary is. This man, towards the end of the race, Robin Freins. Talk about come on strong.
And so calm, cool and collected. It's all right, mate. You can have a little bit of a celebration. That's a really good bit of driving that you've given us today. And somehow Timo Glock's managed to get back on the podium here at Hockenheim.
So, I have to say, Ricky, before the start of the race, I wouldn't have said that we're going to have a Parc Fermé that contains 2 Audis, a BMW and no Mercedes-Benz.
I don't think anyone would have expected that going into the start of the weekend, but...
René Rast gets out of the car then and celebrates. And It has been an extraordinary run of success for René Rast. The last 5 races, as you indicated earlier on, he has been victorious. Congratulated by Robin Freins. Goes to be weighed. The drivers we're going to see on the podium, René Rast, Robin Freins and Timo Glock. There is Timo Glock. And the congratulations all round. I mean, the Audi Sport Team Rosberg. René Rast. What a formidable combination.
Something about that combination that's kept them.
There's Arno Zenzen, look, the team chief, just waiting to get hold of his driver and say well done. There he is. Extraordinary performance. Well, from our point of view, Mr. Collard, the championship goes all the way to the final 55 minutes plus 1 lap tomorrow, when Hockenheim will be absolutely full, I reckon.
Well, it's been full today, and the show that we've had today, if there's anybody that's even thinking about, oh, should I or shouldn't I, and a little bit on the fence.
Come.
Here you go. Please,
you
please,
can't not,
please.
can you?
The action is incredible at the moment, and
absolutely intense.
These heady shots are great. It just shows you how busy the whole place is as well.
Confirmation of the result then: René Rast, Robin Freins, Timo Glock, the 1, 2, 3. Then it was Gary Paffett, Loic Duval, Mike Rockenfeller, Nico Muller, Paul DiResta, P8, Bruno Spengler, and Eduardo Mortara, P9 and P10. Then in P11, Pascal Wehrlein. Then it was Philip Eng, Jamie Green, Danny Junkerdea, Joel Eriksson. Of course, we lost Marco Wittmann, Augusto Farfus, and Lucas Auer. So Timo Glock then congratulating René Rast. All the drivers being ushered together here. Ah, that's great to see. Robin is, I have to say, I find Robin a really fun character.
He'll be pretty fun.
Just seems consistently cool.
Consistently cool, calm and collected. Doing everything right at the moment, mate. So
that's for sure. He was really chasing down, wasn't he?
I think another couple of laps and he would have been, well, he was pretty much finished on the tail of René anyway. And
oh, look at Paul DiResta. There is the look of a man who is disappointed.
And worried.
Right, 5 out of 5. René Rast, what a star you are.
This is just absolutely unbelievable. It's your 5th win in a row, and also that means you really, really picked up the points. I mean, you must be over the moon, because from here, I mean, hey, anything is possible.
It's so crazy. I cannot believe it, to be honest. It was such a tough race. You know, the start didn't go that well. I had to pass 2 cars in ahead in the first laps. And then I had a very nice fight with Gary, which was all fair, which was great. You know, now we won the race. And we still have some points to collect, but no. That's what our goal. We wanted to be in the mix for tomorrow, and I think we achieved it.
We always know you calm, but honestly, while the battle with you and Gary was going on, what was your pulse saying?
It was probably quite high. I mean, I knew that Gary was fair, and you know, I watched the race from beginning of the year, and I know what he was going to try, so I was good prepared.
You did a fab job. Thank you so much, René. Wow, and back to you.
Thanks so much. And I think René makes a fair point there. You know, hugely experienced racer, Ricky. So too is Gary. You know, they were respectful between each other. Yes, there was the odd little touch, wasn't there? But nothing more than a love tap. And, you know, from our side as race fans, to watch that race so close and so intense, it's fantastic.
That's what we want to see. And exactly like you're saying, as race fans, it's obviously frustrating when you do have a little tap up the back or whatever or on the side, but you know, these guys are racing as hard as they can and as clean as they can. There's nothing malicious out there.
No.
It's just 2 guys going for a championship and gunning out to give the best that they can do, and that's what we want to see, really. We don't want to see, you know, boring overtakes. We want to see side-by-side action, and we occasionally might see a couple of touches.
Well, I mean, he had to fight so very hard, didn't he? And you know, there were terrific fights throughout the race. Team standings: 19 after 20 races, 347 points, 294, 261. Do you know what? You know, it's been close, but actually, the Drivers' Championship. I mean, when you and I stood here and commentated on those first races at the weekend at Hockenheim, I don't think even you or I could have dreamt that it would be this close towards the end of the season as well. It's remarkable.
That's great. We've got 3 drivers all fired up, all can win the championship. And like you say, we've got 2 from Mercedes, 1 from Audi. It would have been great if BMW could have been in there as well and had a freeway fight for it. But, you know, BMW have been there in all the previous years. So it's going to be great. It's going to go down to the wire.
Danny Junkadea with Marlene Weiland there, one of the PRs for Mercedes-Benz. Danny Junkadea finishing P14 in the race. Forgive me, but at one point he looked very, very quick in the race as well, Ricky. I mean, there were times, as we take super slow-mos to the top 3, there were times when every driver looking really, really good. But taking P3, it's Timo Glock for BMW. P2 for Audi, Robin Freins, his second podium of his DTM season. And taking his 5th win in a row. It's unheard of in DTM, René Rast, Ricky.
Unbelievable. He hasn't put a foot wrong, and he's being aggressive when he needs to be aggressive, but also being calm when he's needed to be calm when the pressure's been on. And look at that as the cameras flash away. A massive cheer for our winner, René Rast.
Who's making his way up to the podium now. Followed by Timo Glock and Robin Freins. It's a fair stomp up the stairs to the podium, says he as if he's been there, which of course I haven't. Have you been on the podium at Hockenheim for any reason, Ricky?
Not at Hockenheim. I never had the chance to race at Hockenheim, actually.
Been on the podium lots of times.
I've done testing and stuff at this great track. And
you're driving a DTM car at this great track this weekend, aren't you?
In a couple of hours' time, yeah. I'll have my race suit on, and we'll be going out there with some lucky VIPs to do some burnouts and hot laps.
I'm looking forward to seeing your line through the Sachs turn that we've spoken so much about.
As long as it's not the wide line, which unfortunately Marco Wittmann took in qualifying, we'll be all right.
Yeah, you're right. So they're being prepared behind the podium then. And as we speak, René Rast will run to the top step of the podium. Robin Freins on step 2. And of course it will be Timo Glock on the 3rd step of the podium. And National Anthem will play out for René Rast. Once, of course, that the team is represented, the Audi Sport Team Rosberg, of course, up there on the podium as well. Time for the National Anthem. So on the top step of the podium is one Mr. René Rast. Family applaud and support as well. There's Robin Freins and Timo Glock. Here comes the trophy presentations. David Coulthard here, former F1 and of course DTM driver. Making the trophy presentation to René Rast. And congratulating our other podium placers as well. Dieter Gas there to the very right-hand side of your picture. Team principal, or Audi. Oh, Stefano Domenicali is here as well, former Ferrari F1 team and, of course, single-seater commissioner for the FIA, Stefano Domenicali. I was saying there, Dieter Gas, of course, Audi sport principal. And we await then the trophy presentation for... Yep, that was the wrong one, Jochen. Next one. Jochen Rindt here. And it's Robin Freins receives that trophy.
Timo should have just taken that and just carried on.
Oh, I'll take that. Yes, Timo, ever the gentleman, isn't he? No, wrong one.
Oh, well, there he goes.
Yeah,
that's
reason.
why.
Nina Girk then, the model and TV moderator, and she makes the trophy presentation to Timo Glock. Yes. Funny that, isn't it?
I think I'd taken her for a lap later, actually, in the taxi car. So.
Oh, you would, wouldn't you? Oh, you would.
Well, they said it was either you or Lena, so...
Oh, cheers, Ricky Collard. Thank you. Right, all the drivers and, of course, the teams up there on the podium posing for the photographs now.
As we wait for the champagne.
5 out of 5. Oh, that was
he needs to have another podium now, because that was terrible effort.
That was a bit loose, that one, wasn't it? A bit tame, lame even.
Yeah. Come on, René, sort it out.
Where's Timo going with these? Putting out a fire. Brilliant. Well done to all three. And I have to say, reflecting, Ricky, looking back at the race, I think not only did René, of course, have to deliver out there on the track, but I think the team did a great job as well in terms of bringing him in when they did.
That was a great call, and we saw he closed that gap, what was it, from 2.1 seconds down to 1.7 seconds. And then obviously we couldn't see the last feed because it was as he came into the pits. So he must have pulled in a heftier chunk and not caught the Mercedes guys by surprise a little bit there. But yeah, he did a good job. And then obviously when he came out, it was important then to push. And we're seeing quite often the car that pits first.
Yes.
They can have the tyres up to temperature, and it's easier to attack than it is to defend.
No, I think you're right. So the checkered flag falls as we see some of the celebrations down there in Parc Fermé. All we do know is that the drama is being driven towards tomorrow's race. And Stefano Domenicali in the back of the picture there as René Rast walks past him, and there he holds the trophy aloft. What a brilliant job. And then the champagne. So let's go down to the podium now and hear from Mr. Timo Glock.
Oh, and this is, I bet, a very happy man, a very thirsty man as well, I just saw, Timo. But congratulations, making your way from P8 to P3. That's pretty amazing, and especially it kind of reminds me of Hockenheim Ring 1, because we saw amazing racing action and overtaking. It was a tough race, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, coming from P8, the battle at the beginning was tough. I struggled a bit in the traffic at the beginning, but then when the whole scenario started with Robin and Paul, I just could make some places, and then when I had clean air, I had very good pace. But unfortunately, the train was gone at the front, and I knew Dani Juncatea. I saw that on the screen. He undercutted us very early, and then I had a good speed. I could catch him, and then the safety car came out. But I was just checking all the time on the screens what Gary and what René were doing. They were like on the same fight what we had, and I was like, "Come on, wait, guys! I want to buy in this." But they were just too far gone. But again, I mean, I don't know. Hockenheim is a bit my home place here. It's every time I'm quick here, and it's the best circuit in the world, I would say, especially for DTM. And I think we should consider doing 10 races here in Hockenheim, because then we would have a massive show every race. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen. But still, I think it was, again, a really cool sign for the fans, a really entertaining race, and happy with P3.
And tomorrow you've got another chance. Make sure to grab your bottle of champagne in case you're still thirsty. So that was truly an amazing race. And we're looking forward to tomorrow, because tomorrow we're going to find out who the new DTM champion 2018 is. And one thing's for sure, everything is open. So it's going to be so exciting. See you tomorrow, and here are the highlights. Do enjoy.